Hello, my little airline adventurers. Fasten your seatbelts as we enter the intriguing world of airplanes, from mysterious triangles to things best left unmentioned on those tray tables. Ooh la la. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on the next juicy upload. Now, we all love the convenience of a tray table, don't we? But have you ever stopped to think about where that tray has been? Scientists have discovered that those seemingly innocent tray tables harbor more bacteria than a petri dish at a science fair. One flight attendant confessed that passengers use them for everything, even changing baby nappies. Now, I'm all for a bit of multitasking, but that's taking it too far. My advice? Pack those antibacterial wipes, darlings. You're going to need them. Ever looked at those ever-so-chipper flight attendants after a 10-hour flight and thought, how do they do it? Well, gather round, my inquisitive jet-setters. Airplanes have these magical little places called crew rest areas. Tucked away from prying eyes, these cozy havens are where our fabulous flight attendants catch those much-needed 40 winks. Now I know what you're thinking. Are they having a cheeky nap while we're stuck with turbulence and crying babies? Well, let's just say, it's probably best not to ask. Now let's talk about those windows. We've all spent a flight glued to them, haven't we? Admiring the fluffy clouds, pretending we're in a music video. But did you ever notice those teeny tiny holes? These mysterious little openings are called bleed holes. And no, they're not for vampires. Their job is to regulate the pressure between the cabin and the outside world. Consider them the unsung heroes of air travel. Chapter 4. The Curious Case of the Triangles. Have you ever noticed those mysterious little triangles dotted around the cabin? No, they're not part of some secret society. These strategically placed triangles mark the spots with the absolute best views of the wings. Those triangles allow flight attendants to keep a watchful eye out for anything out of the ordinary. A bit of ice, a rogue feather, you know, the usual. Chapter 5. Boarding Pass. Blunders. Our boarding passes, those flimsy little tickets to freedom, are more important than we realize. They're not just about getting us on that plane, oh no, they're a treasure trove of personal information. We're talking frequent flyer numbers, full names, sometimes even passport details. And you know what happens to valuable information? It's a hacker's dream. So, next time you're tossing that boarding pass aside, think twice. Shred it, burn it, eat it, just don't let it fall into the wrong hands. Chapter 6. Pilot's Plates. Here's a juicy tidbit from the cockpit. Those brave souls flying our metal birds don't actually share meals. It's all about safety, darlings. The last thing anyone wants is for both pilots to be struck down with a dodgy prawn salad at 30,000 feet. So, they play it safe and stick to different meals. One pilot might be tucking into a chicken Kiev while the other is having a vegetarian lasagna. Chapter 7. Sky-high sobriety. Let's talk about those miniature bottles of alcoholic bliss, shall we? We've all been tempted, haven't we? A little tipple to take the edge off the flight. But here's the thing. You can't actually get drunk on a plane. The lower oxygen levels in the cabin mean that alcohol affects you differently at altitude. You might feel a bit merrier, a bit more relaxed, but you won't be dancing on the trolley anytime soon. Chapter 8. The 15-minute mask. Those oxygen masks, dangling above our heads like little lifelines, are a reassuring sight, aren't they? But here's the kicker. They only hold about 15 minutes worth of oxygen. But before you start hyperventilating, there's good news. Those 15 minutes are usually enough time for the pilots to bring the plane down to a safe altitude where we can breathe normally again. It's all very well choreographed, darling. A bit like a high-altitude ballet. Vest friends forever? Now those life vests tucked neatly under our seats, they're like emergency snacks. We know they're there, we're not supposed to touch them unless absolutely necessary. But sometimes, temptation wins. Yes, it seems some passengers can't resist the allure of a free souvenir, and those life vests often go walkabout. Chapter 10. Water Worries. Let's talk about that tempting cup of coffee or tea they offer us mid-flight, shall we? It's best to stick to bottled beverages if you can. The water used to make those hot drinks. Let's just say it doesn't always come from the purest of sources. In fact, some studies have shown that airplane water tanks can harbor a whole host of unwanted guests. So, unless you fancy a side of bacteria with your beverage, it's best to play it safe and stick to the sealed stuff. Chapter 11. The Seat Pocket. Surprise. Those seat pockets crammed full of in-flight magazines and safety cards seem harmless enough, don't they? But let me tell you, they're a veritable breeding ground for germs. Passengers use them for everything from storing used tissues to stashing dirty nappies. So my advice, keep your hands to yourself and avoid those pockets like the plague. Chapter 12. Blanket Bonanza. Now, those blankets and pillows they hand out, cozy, aren't they? But here's the thing, they might not be as fresh as you think. Those snuggly companions are often reused throughout the day. The very same blanket you're cuddling up to might have been draped over another passenger just hours earlier. So, if you're a bit particular about these things, you might want to pack your own travel pillow and a pashmina. We've all been there, haven't we? Desperate for the loo, only to find the door locked with that ominous occupied sign glowing back at us. But what if I told you that those lavatory doors aren't always as secure as they seem? Oh yes, our flight attendant friends have a secret weapon, a hidden lock override. That's right, they can unlock those doors from the outside in case of an emergency. Ever notice how flight attendants seem to communicate telepathically? One minute they're at the front of the plane, the next they're by your side, offering you a reassuring smile and a gin and tonic. Well, it's not magic, darlings. It's all down to a series of secret hand signals. Those discreet gestures are actually coded messages, allowing the crew to communicate with each other without causing a mass panic. Now this next secret is a bit cheeky, so gather closer. It seems that our male passengers have a particular fondness for those airplane lavatories. And no, it's not just because they're desperate for the loo. Apparently the cramped confines of those cubicles offer the perfect opportunity for a bit of, shall we say, self-gratification. But let's just say, those air sickness bags, they have more uses than you might think. Chapter 16, Slide Away. Those emergency slides, inflated with a dramatic whoosh, are the stuff of Hollywood blockbusters, aren't they? But in reality, they're rarely used. And while they do get checked regularly, there's no guarantee they'll work perfectly every time. So while they're a reassuring sight, it's best not to rely on them as your own personal bouncy castle. Chapter 17. Smile, you're on camera. Now this next secret is a bit Big Brother, so brace yourselves. Some planes are fitted with hidden cameras. These cameras are mainly for security purposes, keeping an eye on things, particularly near the cockpit. So next time you're tempted to do anything you shouldn't on a plane, just remember, someone might be watching. We've all been in that battle for the armrest, haven't we? Elbows at the ready, vying for that precious sliver of space. But what if I told you that some armrests are hiding a secret? That's right, some of those pesky dividers can actually be lifted, giving you a little extra room to stretch out. Airplanes are full of secret compartments. No, they're not hiding the crown jewels or a stash of chocolate biscuits. These compartments are strictly for essential items, emergency equipment, first aid kits, the important stuff, and they're strategically located throughout the plane so the crew can access them quickly and easily in case of an emergency. Ever heard a flight attendant say something that sounded like it was from a spy movie? Well, they might have been speaking in code. That's right, our high-flying heroes have their own secret language, a series of coded phrases and terms, to communicate with each other discreetly. These codes cover everything from medical emergencies to unruly passengers. Well, there you have it, my intrepid travelers. 20 juicy secrets that those tight-lipped flight attendants would rather you didn't know. I hope you enjoyed our little trip behind the curtain of the airline industry. Now don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed our little adventure and hit that subscribe button if you want to join me for more insider gossip. And be sure to let me know in the comments below which secret surprised you the most. Until next time, happy travels.